Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 629. And in today's episode, we're talking all about getting the successful mindsets for your success. You see, being in the position that I have been in for the last 20 years, I've worked with a variety of different people. People who have been very, very successful, whether it be in business, whether it be with money, whether it be fill in the blank. And although their endeavor may be all unique and may be completely different to your endeavor, they all have common traits or common components within the strategy of success. I think success is really an art and a science. You are the art, and the science is the steps or the rough guidelines of what we must do. And that's what I'd like to talk to you in this episode. Now, before we go, this is probably going to be your last chance to join us at the Unlimited Confidence virtual seminar, where you get to transform in the comfort of your own home to be able to get the confidence that you want. And it is at the most affordable price that I can do with the amount of people going onto the event. We're keeping it like a smallish number, and you get to just spend your mind, have a watch party, like bring your friends. Let's just transform and shine together. Well, allow it to be your personal journey, but it is josephclough.info/event. Get your virtual ticket. You'll have the option to be able to just invest your time just one weekend. One weekend can transform your whole path in life. We're going to get you clear. We're going to give you the transformation processes, which I cannot put out online because it's more customized to your needs. So go to josephclough.info/event and let's just rid the anxiety. Let's rid the worry, the doubt, the imposter syndrome, and get the unstoppable, the unlimited confidence, which is josephclough.info/event. EVENT. Okay, josephclough.info/event. But as I was saying about this podcast, it's all about getting the successful mindsets. Now, there's always the usual things that we have to consider. So I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to say them. One, assume responsibility. Assume responsibility for who you are and where you're going to be going. It doesn't matter about where you've been. It's about what you do here. And rather just being in the effects of the past, that being in the effect of the past will just keep you stuck. You need to assume responsibility for going where you want to be going. You are the driving force of your success. Whether you want wealth, whether you want that business, that career transformation, all of that stuff, it comes from you. And it must be that assumption of responsibility. So let's just say number one, as always, vital component, assume responsibility for your destiny. Assume responsibility for where you're heading. Assume responsibility to change your circumstance. Because when the mindset's right, the facts don't count. So it starts within you and it ends with you. Of course, get help, get support and all those things. You don't have to go alone. Sidestep here, the most successful people I've ever known have always been coached to their success. It just didn't happen. They either had a network, a support, or a coach to guide them to where they want to be. So assume responsibility, find someone who will get you over your blocks so you can win. You can have the success that you desire. But when we think about success as a whole, let's break it down to a few fundamental things when it comes to successful mindsets. Number one, you need to know what you want. Now, you may be thinking, well, Joseph, I know what I want. Well, most of the time we don't. Most of the time we focus on what we don't want, the anxiety, worries, and doubts. Said it time and time and again, wherever your mind goes, the attention goes, and that's where we pretty much draw into our experience. So when you're operating from anxiety, you're focusing, well, I don't want to be more in debt. I don't want another bad relationship. I really hope I don't fail at work. You are hypnotizing yourself to seek out more of the same. So you must know the outcome. And there's my analogy. I've said this time and time again when it comes to success. Imagine a satellite navigation system, right? You get into your car, you turn on the GPS, you go to Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever your map preference is. What is the first thing you do? Well, you put in all the destinations you don't want to go. No, you don't, right? You put in the destination that you do want to go to. Imagine that. If you had to put in every destination that you did not want to go to in the hope you might get to the final destination of where you do, you would be ridiculous. If you told someone that is your strategy of using Google Maps or Apple Maps or any form of GPS, people will think you are crazy. But for some weird reason, and it's not that weird because it's unconscious, our mind tends to focus on all the things that we don't want in the hope of getting to where we do want. The reason why that happens, and that's why it's not that silly, is because your unconscious mind's trying to protect you. What if this happens? What if that happens? It's a protection mechanism gone wrong. So you need to rein in your unconscious mind by gauging your thoughts, your feelings, your outcome. Focus on what you want. Now, sidestep a little bit here. It's okay to consider the things that you don't want. People get sometimes like, I've had some weird emails like, Joseph, you said something negative of don't be anxious. You know that the unconscious mind can't process negatives. Well, let's put it this way. Just because the unconscious mind has a trouble processing negatives at times, like don't think of a blue tree, we still have to come up with a where we are, what we don't want, and what we then do want. So we've got to get clear sometimes of what we don't want, but most of the time that is all we're focusing on. That is why I like the Stoic way of thinking, is being aware of some of the bad things which could go wrong, then becoming at peace with them, which therefore makes you go, well, it could happen. I'm okay, but I'm heading over here. So there's nothing really wrong with considering what might happen. It's only when we lose control of that, when it runs away by itself, when those worrying thoughts just get so overwhelming that you then feel stuck, right? So yeah, be at peace of what you don't want, but you've got to focus then specifically on what you want. What is your desired outcome when it comes to your success? And I said outcome because goals are hit and miss, but outcome is more designed in your favor. So what is your outcome? Make a note of it. If you go to me, well, Joseph, I just want more money. Well, here's $1. You got more money. You got to be precise. You got to be specific. And if you're worried, here's a little master or meta thinking. If you're worried about being too fixated on one thing that you might miss out on another thing, ask yourself this question. I want this or something better. So you're being precise with your outcome, but you're also open for more. That's how I teach my people. Have the outcome in mind, but be open for something bigger and greater, because you don't know what you really, really want until you get there. And maybe the world, the universe, the situations are going to show up to you, but you may have missed them because you're so obsessed with that one outcome. But with that, let's go a little bit deeper when it comes to our outcome, because I said the word obsessed. In a way, you do have to be obsessed with your goal and outcome. Yeah, say this or something better, but if you're not excited by your success, if you're not excited of letting go of your issue, if you're not excited about getting more revenue into your business, if you're not more excited about being the leader as a manager or a CEO or a director, if you're not excited or obsessed with that endeavor, the chances are you will not have the energy to see that through. Because your unconscious mind is going to be only as excited as you are. If it's a bit meh to you, well, it's meh to your unconscious mind. So you do have to have a burning desire for the outcome, this or something better. Most people don't change. That is the sad and honest fact about things when it comes to their outcomes. Where it be letting go of an issue is an outcome. Letting go of the imposter syndrome. Most people, and I don't like saying this, but but we have to have a wake-up call. Most people will not let go of their anxiety in the world. Most people will not let go of their imposter syndrome. It's one of those things. Doesn't have to be you. Most people think that it's normal and they stay the same. Some people try it, but they're not putting the effort in. They're not obsessed or with that desire for that great life, that desire for abundance, because that abundance means they can give to charities, they can be able to help people, all those things. That desire is missing in most people. And the desire is your pinpoint of where you're heading. No desire, you're not leaving off the runway. You got no fuel. You need the fuel to get to where you want to be. No point, go back to the satellite navigation system. You know your outcome, but don't have any gas or petrol in the tank, then you're not going to get there, right? You need to be the fuel of your desire. One way that I do with my program is I get my people to list out 100 reasons why they must change. Not just want to, but must change. Wake up to the fact that it will give you so much. Wake up to the fact that living that liberated life, that just breaking the chains of the worries and doubts and imposter syndrome, what it will give you, even the reasons as to why you must change in the negative, because you don't want to live like this for the rest of your life, that you don't want to live in regret. Most of the time we live in no man's land. In other words, life is okay. It's not bad. I don't like it. Maybe I'll change in the future. All those kind of things. It's no man's land. You need to be pushing that apart. You need to know exactly what you don't want. Like I said, consider it. All of those things. But on the same hand, you want to know exactly why you want what you want, and therefore you cannot live in no man's land. You can't live in the middle because it's going to be a little bit painful, and it's going to be so motivating to get out of that pain in the most wonderful way. So, be clear on why you must change. Don't shy away from it, because shying away from it is not going to support you. It's just going to prolong pain. And if you're like me, you don't want to be in pain. You don't want to be emotionally in the same place. You don't want to be this place next year. You don't want to be where you are or worse in 10 years' time. You're going to make that decisive, going back to responsibility, to wake up and go, this is my moment. I don't want this, but I want all of that over there. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm now going to start to focus on what I want. You see, once you get that level covered, the next aspect we've got to consider, which most people don't tend to do because we were never taught it, is to really take action on it. Sounds simple, right? But most people don't take action. Usually because the imposter syndrome gets in the way, that the anxiety kills us in our motivation, the worries and the doubts just kind of self-sabotage us. So it makes sense, right? But you have to be inspired to make certain steps. Follow a system, follow a strategy. Whatever you do, do something, because wishful thinking is not going to serve you. We can go into things like out there of like the law of attraction, all those things. Now, if you're going to go down the law of attraction route, if you're a believer of that, and look, I've got nothing in the game when it comes to law of attraction or this or that. I go by biology, I go by that as well, the law of attraction, all those things. We've got to go, okay, I am ready to change by understanding that whatever I want wants me, but I must take action if I really, really want it. I must take action. We got to have the law of attraction, but we've got to have the law of action. Let's put it that way, right? So it comes both. And I love, and I've said this many a times, Neville Goddard, assume the feeling, the wish fulfilled, and then act on it with, let me say, I broke down the sentence, so I forgot it. Assume the feeling, the wish fulfilled, and then act upon it with conviction. and therefore you are now aligned. Not just assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. They didn't stop there. It followed it with take inspired action. Take action. Do little bits each and every day. It doesn't matter how small, but you've got to take action. You've got to go ahead and do this each and every day. So this is being broadcasted live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and things. And I was just saying, we've just reached 11 million downloads of just the podcast alone, right? So that's super awesome. It didn't just happen. I had to take action. I had to buy the equipment. I had to invest in myself. I had to put the time out there. All of those things. If I did not do that, we would not have 11 million downloads. And I wouldn't even imagine how many hours that would be. Right? That could be hundreds of millions of hours of listenership in total. It could be, right? But it didn't come out of thin air. I didn't just kind of wish it. I dreamt it. I thought about it to a degree once I got that traction. And then I had to take action to make it happen. I built my business, my company, because I had to take action, because I had a big drive to help people in the most intensive in a good way, the most customized way when it comes to my program. All of that stuff came from the action and that desire. So we must take action. I don't mind if it's little steps along the way, because those will become the big steps, the big leaps, all of those things. But taking massive and inspired action is so, so important. Now, one thing we also got to realize is, well, what happens if it doesn't work? Joseph, I keep on doing the same old thing, but nothing is happening. Well, the most successful people have something which I would call behavioral flexibility. Where it be the mind or the body, they have the behavioral flexibility to do different things. You may go to me right now, Joseph, I have tried therapy and I still have the imposter syndrome. I've done counseling. I have spoken so much about my issue for years, every week with a therapist or coach, and there's no negative stuff about the process. There's just an example. But I've, let's say, spoken for years. Well, have you tried working with someone else? Have you worked with someone who knows the issue to let it go? Is it customized? Is it built for you? Does it work with the unconscious mind? And the chances are it's a no. You haven't seeked out all the solutions out there. It just feels like it because it hasn't worked out yet. But those who are successful, those who I have personally modeled in a variety of lives, they have this beautiful behavioral flexibility to be able to do different things. If something's not working, they'll do something else. They'll slightly adjust, they'll pivot, they'll start to consider what they have to do to evolve in the situation rather than be stuck in the situation. It's a big thing for us to get into. And you might go, look, Joseph, I don't have that behavioral flexibility. Well, you're wrong, because your body is behavioral flexibility by nature. Your biological cells have adjusted throughout so many different times before you, the passing down of the genes to adapt to different situations, to evolve to different environments. So that is inbuilt within you, but we just have maybe fallen asleep or became so negative toward what we're experiencing, the so-called failures, and therefore go, well, that's just me. I promise you, you have everything you need within you. That is inbuilt. You just need to be shown the right way. But you do have that behavioral flexibility, so remember that. It goes like down to the Edison quote or the interview or whatever happened when he's being interviewed about the light bulb and how many attempts it took, and he said like 10,000 times. And then the person said, well, you failed 10,000 times? He said, no, I just found out 10,000 successful ways of not how to do the light bulb. Think about that. Like, every no leads you to the yes. if you choose it to be, right? You've got to adjust, you've got to adapt. If that's not working, let's modify, let's adjust, let's be flexible. That is how you get success. The amount of times in my business I've had to adjust things to perfect the perfect recipe, or how to adjust things in a way that I speak or communicate. I was not a good communicator. Maybe you might not think I am now, who knows? But it has taken time and time again of refinement and learning and adjusting who I am as a person. But I built this, I created it. It wasn't my circumstance that just molded me. I had to mold myself. I had to learn and grow. I dare you, look at go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Joseph Clough. Go by reverse order, right? Or reverse upload, or oldest upload, or whatever it is. You'll see the option there. Look at my early videos. I am pretty bad on video. Or if you go, well, you're okay, well, you didn't see all the other attempts, which took me like hours just to do one bit of talking. Like, it takes time to adjust and adapt and to grow and all those things to be able to get to where you want to be. See it as an opportunity to grow, not a situation to remain the same. So we must have that behavioral flexibility. So in other words, look, we got to know our outcome, take responsibility, be stoic in what may happen, what may not happen. Drive that wedge between the pain and the pleasure, that you have that burning desire to get that goal, get that outcome, and be the person you want to be. Once you're really in that moment, we've got to take massive and inspired action. We got to do things, not wishful thinking only. We want to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and then act upon it with conviction. Take action on your dreams, because it's not going to just fall on your lap. And then I said we've got to have that behavioral flexibility. We've got to adapt. We've got to adjust. If something's not working, we do something else. Definition of madness is practicing or doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's not cool. Keep learning, keep evolving, keep adjusting. You see, when you have that outcome, when you take that massive inspired action, when you have that awareness that something's not working, to then adapt into your environment, the next thing you've got to do as an overall is to get your mind in gear. What are you feeding your mind? Are you feeding it the social media? Are you feeding it what your mother thinks, what your brother thinks of you? The amount of people I've worked with, right, and they've gone into my program, and it's an investment, of course, so they go, what, you spent that much money on that? And it's easy to get programmed, go, oh, that is a big investment. But that's them. That's their fears playing out. And ultimately, the release of that issue actually allows you to get that investment back hundreds of times over, sometimes in the year. I had one client reach out to me that they've just done $300,000 in the year based on some of the work we've just done, which is crazy ridiculous. It's something like $300,000. Like, it's amazing because that investment just comes back. But we get polluted by what other people think of us, of what will work, which won't work. We pay attention to other people's life when it comes to social media, which we don't really know of them. When was the last time we even met some of those people? It was probably back at school 20, 30 years ago. We spend our time in so many different areas, and we forget and neglect who we should be putting our attention on. Getting our mind on our really like the evolving of the thoughts, almost like we're pruning away things which don't serve us. We're starting to cultivate our thoughts, monitor our thoughts, understand where our attention is, understand who we are as a person. Are we here to exist? Are we here to live? Are we here to have love? Are we here to have passion? Are we here to live our dreams? Because I believe that for you. But if our time is so much spent on what other people think of us, of what society thinks of us, we are always going to remain the same. And I never want that for you. And those who are successful are usually the disruptors in their life. In other words, they're going against the grain. They're going against what their family thinks sometimes, what their partner thinks sometimes, what their business co-workers say, what society says. Look, right in the beginning, and my dad won't mind me saying this, he thought it was pretty crazy to do a podcast giving out free content. He thought it was pretty crazy. Didn't like the idea of it. But I did it anyway. I disrupted that and lived by my own thoughts, my own passion. And look, we're 11 million downloads. Now, that's not to say that he didn't try to have his best interest in me, because of course he did, and probably your family does too. But if it's on your heart, if it's in your mind, if it's in your purpose, it is important to let go of the things in our mind which are holding us back. Even if people doubt us, even if people go, look, it's impossible. I had another friend who said, there's no way, Joseph, you are going to be able to make a successful career out of hypnosis. My best friend said that to me. He said, how are you meant to make a living out of this? If I bought into that, there is no way I'd be doing what I'd be doing. If I bought into what my dad said originally, no way I would be doing a podcast. There's always going to be this noise on the outside, but when that noise is loud, you've got to be louder. You've got to be more decisive. You've got to, even when fear kicks in, you've got to be more decisive and determined and committed to your dream. Because it is your dream. It's not their dream. It's not anyone else's dream. It is your dream, so you've got to protect it and go all in on it, even though there will be resistance from other people. It is okay to disagree. Doesn't mean we got to fall out with people. I'm still great friends with my dad, and guess what? I now employ him into my company. Like, we work together and all those things, and a lot of the reason is because of the podcast, right? Like, getting the word out there. So you've really got to make sure that you look after your thoughts and monitor them. Where are they? Are they living in other people's mind, or are you going to reclaim them for yourself? So to really have this as a conclusion, know your outcome. Be so obsessive with it in a good, healthy way that you're like, this is what I want, or something better. And you're willing to do whatever it takes, because the lack of getting it is going to be more painful. Drive some pain, drive the fuel, so you just know that I'm ready to change, that I'm going to do whatever it takes. Be stoic in the nature, but yeah, some things happen in life. Doesn't mean we should stop. Take that massive and inspired action. Be aware if something's not working, and then be flexible in your behavior, adjust, adapt. And live for yourself. Be who you want to be. Don't buy into the rules of the game. You can create your own rules for life. You can start to truly be happy, to truly feel worthy and deserving and capable. This is your opportunity. So let's make it happen. It's all within you in every single way. And of course, as I talked about it already, about my program, if you want my help with this, if you want to let go of the imposter syndrome fully and completely with my premium program, fully customized for your needs, go to josephclough.info/talk and we'll get clear of what you want to let go of. We'll get clear of exactly what you want to achieve. We'll then understand why it's happening at an unconscious level, and then we'll get the next steps of how to make that happen with my program. If I know that we can solve it, or my team knows we can solve it, we will say yes to you, and we'll enroll you into your dreams and get you to where you want to be. Yes, you're going to be invested. There's not a free program. This is a fully customized experience in every single way. It's even hard to explain what it is, because it's just so crazy cool in that way. But josephclough.info/talk, so you can finally be free of the imposter syndrome and love and live life in the most unconscious way. Follow success. If I can get out of my own issue and help many others, I can do that for you as well. And then what I'm also doing, we're pulling some aspects of that and putting it into the Unlimited Confidence Weekend, which is Joseph Clough even. It's hard enough people saying my name, let alone me getting it mixed up. josephclough.info/event, which is Joseph, CLOUGH.info/event, and spend the whole weekend with me so we can really transform together. I can help you, guide you, get the confidence, be free of the worries and the doubts, plan the end of this year so you start 2022 fresh and profound and unlimited in your confidence. It is maybe the early bird still, but if it's not, it's still worth it. Get your tickets right now. Virtual weekend, change and transform your comfort of your own home even. And that is josephclough.info/event. And with that, my friends, I look forward to speaking to you on a future episode. Always know that I believe in you, because you can do this. So many thanks and goodbye.